What's going on, gamers and collectors? DGC back with another video, and today we're going over Xbox exclusives E, F, and G. Let's check them out. Alright, first up we got Enclave for the original Xbox, console-wise exclusive to the Xbox. Really cool game, kind of reminds me of Morrowind meets Dark Souls, kind of. It's like a action hack and slash RPG light game. Pretty good looking visuals for the original Xbox still to this day. Cool game, kind of like a lot of dungeon crawling aspects, or you know, it plays very much like a Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Noi, but like reminds you of Morrowind, like visually, if that makes sense. But let's check out some gameplay of this real quick. So hopefully my comparisons were making sense when I said those games. Pretty cool game. Again, this is pretty common. Should find this just about anywhere for under $5. Alright, so there are 2 platinum hits in this entire collection, and they are absolute must-owns to have the complete set, in my opinion. You can judge for yourself on how you want to do that. The first one that we've hit in this milestone is Fable, The Lost Chapters. Why does this one exist in this game? As Alex, we know you don't like to own platinum, greatest hits, all that nonsense. So this one exists in the collection because this comes with the DLC on the disc, essentially. This is like the original definitive edition for a console. This has the Lost Chapters added into the game, which essentially, if I recall correctly, it's been a few years since I've played this game. There's essentially a dragon boss fight, a couple extra armors, and a couple extra side quests, and basically just a little bit of extra shit that they added into this. This is still my second original copy, because I own the original one, then they released this, and I picked this up at Best Buy. When did this come out? 04. No, this came out like 05. After the original was 04 and this was 05, but so this is still my original copy. Absolutely love this game. This is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's not the greatest, it's not the most in-depth, but the story to it, the level progression, the armor styling, the good versus evil, the backtracking nature of the game, like it was like light backtracking. Just, I don't know, it was, to me, it was like one of the first RPGs I ever played. I know that's pretty embarrassing to admit, but I just never really knew about RPGs because my parents would always buy me, you know, your Spider-Mans, your Marios, and you know, up until this point when I started buying my own games, and I was so infatuated with the idea of Fable, and I just really love Fable. But enough about Fable. The Lost Chapters edition is the preferred version, in my opinion, to get. That's why this is an exception to my rule to have as a greatest hit in your collection. Now, we all know Microsoft's trifecta of games that they have: Gears, Halo, Forza. This is Forza Motorsport for the original Xbox. This is where the whole thing started. If you somehow only collect for the original Xbox, this is the definitive racing game you should be getting. If you've somehow never played any Forza game, and for whatever reason you're only limiting yourself to buying something for like $3, this is the version to get. Or if you're going for the full set of exclusives like a weirdo like me. Really, still a good racing game, obviously 480p. This is one of the later releases for the Xbox. Really good looking game. And what I find funny is that it says better than Gran Turismo 4 here. However, I have every Gran Turismo, and I have every mainline Forza, and I have Forza Horizon 3 and 4. So pretty big fan of both of them. To me, they're both 2 completely different entities of the same genre, whereas sim racer, I guess you could say. I would say Forza definitely handles better and is more approachable and more fun and more unlocks, whereas Gran Turismo just always looks better. Polyphony Digital just always pushes whatever hardware they're on to the absolute max. You're mistaken if you think Naughty Dog pushes it to the max. It's Polyphony Digital that always pushes these consoles to the max as a Sony first-party studio. They just get the absolute every ounce of power out of any PlayStation that they put a game on, and the reason Gran Turismos are better in my humble opinion in some aspects being they actually record the actual engine sounds from the car. They actually go out and fully 360 the outside of a car, and then they sit in it and they 360 the inside of the car. And the level designs are just like spot on. They like go down a track with cameras 360 around the car, and they have like every nook and cranny of the whole racetrack mapped out. And I mean, I know Forza does that as well for the tracks, but Forza's more fun, whereas Gran Turismo is hyper realistic is what I would say. But again, we're talking about Xbox stuff here, so good game, but in my humble opinion, I think Forza Horizon 2 and 3, or I mean Forza Motorsports 2 and 3 are the best ones in the series. Those were the places I had the most fun with the series, but again, really great game, obviously exclusive to the Xbox. Now, we got two games here. We got Far Cry Instincts, Far Cry Instincts Evolution. This is kind of hard to hold up two games at the same time. So really great games here. These are in my, we're going to lump them together. They are in my top 10 original Xbox games. They're just absolutely fantastic. I remember getting this for 13th or 14th, maybe 15th birthday. I don't remember because it came out at the end of September, whatever year it was, and I guess somebody can look it up. I just remember getting this, taking it home. My buddy Jordan stayed the night that night. My parents went away for the weekend because it's also their anniversary every time my birthday happens. So it was always convenient as a kid because they'd always leave. And we stayed up all weekend just eating shitty food out of like one of those giant freezers, eating ice pops and sodas and like mozzarella sticks and just nasty shit, and just playing the fuck out of these games, or this one specifically, and this is the expansion / second one, or however you want to call it. These were both re-released on the 360 as a one game package with 720p graphics. Frankly, I would recommend playing it on the 360 just because you're getting the one package with both games on the one package, and it just looks a little bit sharper, a little more crisp. But again, if for whatever reason you just only collect original Xbox, these are both exclusive to the original Xbox. Alex, these are available on the PC. Yes and no. These are the consoleized version of Far Cry, and then this is a weird sequel to this one, whereas this one is very similar to the PC one, but it's also different. It's kind of its own subshoot of Far Cry, and then there's the mainline Far Cry, and then they have Primal, and then they have Blood Dragon, and Far Cry is kind of like Zelda timelined here and there, where it's got its own weird offshoots. And then really, this was made by Crytek, and then this one was made by Ubisoft Montreal probably. So this was made by Crytek. This is why this game is still absolutely amazing. Crytek is one of my favorite developers of all time, even though they sadly don't really make anything anymore. Alright, this one is subjective to your opinion, whether it's exclusive or not. This is an exclusive, definitive version of a game. This is Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Director's Cut. This is obviously available on the PS2, but not as the Director's Cut. So this is the definitive edition of this game. I don't really play scary games a ton. However, I've been wanting to get more into them. These aren't necessarily that scary because you run around as like a girl looking for your twin sister, I believe, and like you take pictures of shit, and there's like scary shit in your camera. If I'm not mistaken, I don't really know a ton about them, so don't crucify me in the comment section about it. But if this is a good game and you've played it, definitely let me know, and let me know how the story is. Now, here's one that I ended up picking up toward the tail end of the gathering of all the exclusives. This is a title that my cousin found very easily and evidently found all the time, and this is Furious Karting for the original Xbox. Definitely exclusive, only on the Xbox, not on the PC or anything. This was obviously Microsoft's answer to Mario Kart for their console. Is this a bad game? No, this is actually a great game. This is a blast to play. It's common. There was like probably 1 million of these printed, however I just never see it. So I don't know if this is like something that everybody knew about that I didn't, but It's super cheap, but I just never saw it until the final time that I saw this copy. But really great game, lots of shortcuts and secrets and power-ups, and just a really good kart racer. This is a great multiplayer kart racer. My cousin and I played this a few Christmases ago, on Christmas Eve rather. We were drinking some and just playing some furious karting, and just having an absolute blast with this game. Just a really spectacular game, and let's check out some gameplay. Alright, so that's Furious Karting. Really great game here. Can't recommend this one enough. I hope you find it. I don't know why this took me so long to find, because it's so cheap. I just assume that it's common. Alright, now here's a cool game here. This is Fuzion Frenzy. This is Microsoft's answer to Mario Party for their console. A great multiplayer game. Never really gets talked about a lot. This actually has Xbox One X backward compatibility and enhancements. And it looks absolutely phenomenal on those consoles. Really fun multiplayer game. Not as good as Mario Party, but more of an adult Mario Party in the sense that it's not kiddie, and you could probably convince your non-gamer friends to play this and have some enjoyment out of it. Really, really great game. There was a sequel on the 360, and then they stopped making these games. I don't really know why Microsoft gave up on them. I guess they never sold well, but to me, they're not terrible games, and this is totally a $3 or $4 game. So if you see it, definitely recommend picking it up and grabbing some beers and grabbing your bros and playing it up. It's totally a fun game. Can't recommend it enough. Alright, here's a really cool one that I actually got new in box because I knew I would love this game and I wanted to have an absolute mint copy of this. I discovered this game pretty early on in the list because it's a G title. This is Gun Griffin Allied Strike. This is there's also a version of this available on the Sega Saturn. This is a Tecmo game. Really great game. Let's, again, check out some game. This is a really cool game. I remember, playing this for the first time and just being kind of blown away by the graphics because it's 480p. It just looks absolutely amazing. And what's crazy is this is actually a really early on title for the Xbox original, and I really wish I had been able to play the online multiplayer for this and just really enjoy this game. The original Xbox has a ton of mech games on it, which is really cool because I love mech games. I grew up watching Gundam Wing, and just mech games just really speak to me, and there's really kind of a untapped thing now where mech games aren't really a thing anymore. And during the 6th gen, mech games were kind of a dime a dozen, honestly, but there were few that were good. This is one of them. Alright, here's a really cool game that took me a long time to find. Don't know if it's necessarily rare. This is Guilty Gear X2, the Midnight Carnival #reload. So in Europe, this is a PS2 exclusive. In America, this is an Xbox exclusive. Weird, I know that keeps happening, but it is what it is. For whatever reason, that I guess Microsoft was like, alright, this looks popular in Europe, let's go ahead and make it exclusive on our console in America. Because as we know, Xbox does way better in America than it has ever done anywhere else in the world because it's an American console. Great game. The Guilty Gear games are really cool. They're really good. I love the art style to them because it's just like classic 2D fighter. It's just a really good game, and if you're into Guilty Gear, this is an exclusive version to the original Xbox. Really great game. This one took a while to find. I don't think it's really rare, but it did take me a while to find for whatever reason. But cool game nonetheless. All right, so here we have Genmu Onimusha. This was sent in to the show by Segalacious, aka Virtua Bros. So huge thank you to him for sending this in. Still even have his little note in here. I actually have played this a little bit after he sent it to me. This is a Capcom title. Pretty cool hack and slash game, ninja samurai type thing. Pretty good game. Kind of took me a while to find this, and this is actually why he sent it to me, because frankly I never found it, and he sent it to me. So at least in my area this was not easy to find. However, I don't think this is very rare. On eBay these go for, I think, 10 to 15 bucks, so it's not a rare game by any means, but definitely a cool game, and I do recommend it from the little I did play. Alright, and as I was saying earlier, the original Xbox has a ton of mech games. Here's a really cool hidden gem for the Xbox. This is another mech game. This is Gunmetal, From Mech to Jet and Back, from Rage Studios, published by Majesco. Really cool game here. So this one you play as a mech, but you can also turn into a jet and turn back again, hence the title. Really cool game, lots of destruction, lots of maneuverability with your mech, your jet, and really great game. A hidden gem. There's a really good review on this game by Mark from Classic Game Room from a long ass time ago. Really great game though, definitely recommend this one, and again, super cheap, see this all the time, great game. Alright, now, here's another game that I played with my cousin that same Christmas that we played the Furious Karting. This took my cousin no time at all to find, but it took me forever to find this one. This is a Capcom racer for the Xbox exclusive Group S Challenge. Beautiful looking game, beautiful. Lots of city levels. We had a blast playing this. A really arcadey but still sim-like feeling to it, where it just, the cars just really drive well, and they accelerate well through the gearing, and it's just a really polished Capcom racer. Cannot recommend this one enough. And when I did eventually find it, it was super cheap, like $5. Alright, Alright, so I found this one at Too Many Games 2018. This is Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball. Definitely exclusive because it says it up at the top. This one has seen better days. There's some sticker action going on here, and I do believe that when I got this disc, yeah, the disc isn't great, but it's not terrible. But this is stupid common. I see this all the time. And yeah, Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball. It's a paintball game. Greg Hastings. Alright, here's a good one. This is Grabby the Ghoulies for the original Xbox by Rareware. This was one of the many reasons that I switched over to the Xbox. Rare is my favorite game company of all time. Old school Rare. Basically, Star Fox Adventures and back is classic Rare to me. And yes, I do love Star Fox Adventures. Deal with it. Grabby the Ghoulies was a fantastic game. This is available on the Rare Replay, obviously on the Xbox. And I do believe this even has the Xbox One X backwards compatibility. Well, actually it definitely does because it's on the Rare Replay. But yeah, really solid game here. This was not as great as some of their 90s entries like Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Tooie and Kazooie, and other games of that nature, but still a really solid game. And this was kind of when they were still figuring out the Xbox platform as a whole, and figuring out their new owners and stuff, and all that good stuff. But a pretty solid game nonetheless. Definitely worth picking up. Super cheap. See it all the time. Exclusive to the Xbox and or Xbox One. Alright, here we go. This is a cool title that was from the original creator of Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. This is Gallion for the Xbox exclusive. Microsoft locked this deal down. They had to have this. They wanted this. They thought it was going to be the second coming of Tomb Raider and be super popular. It was not. It's not that great of a game. I still recommend picking it up and playing it because it's it looks terrible. The story's not great. This is frankly probably one of the worst looking original Xbox games. But it's still, in my opinion, a must play to see something that Microsoft actively pursued and purchased and made exclusive. And this, Microsoft used to try. They at least tried back then. They tried to lock down exclusives and buy them or convince developers or whatever. But like this game is just it's not the worst thing ever. It's not Superman 64 bad, but it's not great either by any means. But you know, oddly enough, I do recommend trying this game and trying it out. It's super cheap. See it all the time again, but I do recommend trying it just for the fun of it. You know, and just if you're an Xbox fan, just to reminisce of when Microsoft cared and tried, because they really just don't care anymore. So definitely recommend that one as well. Oh, here's a good one that I want to, with all my heart, to recommend this game. This is the last game on the list here, but I can't. At the beginning of the year, I did a Sega Backlog Challenge, 5 games, wanted to play them, beat them. They had to be, you know, must be a Sega game. As you know, Sega backed the Xbox pretty hard, and then even early 360 days they did as well. This is Gun Valkyrie. Beautiful looking game, absolutely stunning. The controls are some of the worst controls I've ever experienced in a game. They are god awful. I've gone over this a few times, but in case you haven't heard it, you essentially would play with the gamepad of the Dreamcast in your hand and a light gun. Why do I say Dreamcast? This game was originally designed for the Dreamcast, and then jumped ship to the Xbox, where it was again supposed to use the the Duke of all things and a light gun. Microsoft never officially made a light gun for the console, so I'm pretty sure that's why they scrapped the idea of that. I could be wrong on that, but that's just me guessing. I don't know why they did, but if somebody does, definitely leave a comment down below. So because of that, they made these really funky controls where you play with the normal controller, and the controls are just so awful in this game. This game could have been so good because the story to it is okay. The graphics are pretty good. The concept of the game is cool. You know, zooming through a level with your jetpacks and changing up your guns and flying around and just mowing shit down, and the whole idea and the concept is just great. And I really liked the first half of the game that I played, and then I got to this weird boss. It was like a weird spiky jellyfish that you were in this like cylindrical level fighting this boss fight, obviously, and you know, it would fly up in the air and you'd have to aim up and take it out, and then you would zoom across and go here, and then it would come waddle its fat ass over to you, and then it would jump up again, and then you'd have to, and you know, it was just this terrible boss fight, and I could not get past it. I played that boss fight 27 times. I actually got out a post-it pad and like checked it off every time I tried to beat it. Multiple sittings, 27 times, couldn't beat this boss fight, and I haven't played the game since. I want to, with all my heart, recommend that game, but I just can't recommend Gun Valkyrie. I'd like to see Microsoft and or Sega up-res it to 1080p and fix those fucking controls. The game could have been a true, not system seller, but a true must-have original Xbox game back in the day, and even now if the controls weren't just so bad. But again, I want to recommend it, I totally do, and part of me still wants to really recommend it because if you can get past the bad controls and master them and learn them very well, and you will from playing it, like if I had kept playing it, I probably could have got better and better at it, but they're just really, really bad. And if you've played this, definitely leave a comment down below about just, you know, your experience playing it. And they're just awful controls. But that's it for EF and G on the original Xbox exclusives. Now, I know these episodes have been taking a while to come out. However, as of the time of you watching this, HIJKL will be the next episode, and that should be out here real soon because it's already recorded as of me recording this one, because I actually ended up screwing them up and recording that before I recorded this one. So that's what it ended up screwing this up. So sorry for these taking for so long, guys, but it is what it is. Let me know if you enjoyed this video in the form of a like or a comment down below. And if you're new here, definitely smack that subscribe button for me. And if you have any stories or memories of any of these games, definitely, again, leave that in the comments down below, because I would love to hear from you about your experiences with the original Xbox. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of EF and G, and I'll catch you next time on the next video. Peace out for now, guys. Till next time.
Come here, you motherfucker! This is it, baby.